over here! Quick, come to Paimon before the rest of them catch up to you!
What? What is
Hurry, they're almost here!
Fine. I suppose haste is warranted. Lead the way.
Paimon's exhausted.
I merely gave in to the sheer...
Yep, that's a good...
What's happening?
Yeah, a quake of this kind preceded the flooding in Poisson, didn't it?
It can't be.
Well, there's no need to worry too much about that. Neverlette's made some emergency plans, so they've...
Yeah, I hope you're... But the people of Poisson... It's true. I've been investigating the I once had informants all over Teyvat, searching. I've tried all kinds of ways, too, to hold back the sea. Anything to keep the coastline from advancing. But all my efforts proved to be futile in the end. Really, the truth has been clear to me for a very long time. We cannot make an enemy of the divine. No matter what we do, the will... Give up, indeed. I've thought about giving up so many times, especially after we almost lost Poisson. Fate is really unreasonable, isn't it? It has no heart and obeys no rules. The prophecy has only just started to come true, and so many people have already lost their lives. But just now, it all became clear to me. I still don't have the right to come to terms with fate on behalf of everyone else. As long as the final moment hasn't come, it's still not too late. Don't worry. I will keep hope alive for everyone until the very end. Well, that's enough for now. I got the impulse to play the stricken maiden, but honestly, considering my rank and station, that wasn't a good fit at all. Don't take any of what I just said seriously. How could I possibly let Fontaine fall to the whims of trivial prophecy?
Come on! Paimon could have sworn you were actually being honest just now.
Share my burden. That's impossible. It was fated right from the start that this would be my duty alone. A witness. Yes, I've heard that you came to Teyvat from beyond the stars, yes. In other words, and if Teyvat is, in its entirety, a show on a stage, then you're just a spectator, aren't you? If that's the case...
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes my opening performance. Now, without further ado, we may proceed to the trial of our god.
So, this is what it is. Do not forget, however, that I am Fosalor, the—
May I interpret these words as your refusal to stand trial? In that case, you will have the opportunity to defend your honor through a duel.
You would draw your blade against a god? I see. It seems like you have made up your—
Paimon can't believe it. She just surrendered.
What the heck is going on? Did I just see an archon surrender to a human?
Wow, how utterly humiliating.
Lady Farina, what is the meaning of this?
Shh! It would seem that there has been a misunderstanding. To be clear, the raising of both hands—
Looking for excuses again, huh?
I raised my hands just now to indicate my I will admit that I'm sorry, everyone. You are not the only ones to be disappointed. But now, it is I, Farina, will use this trial to show the world the true meaning of— This time, I will applaud and rejoice. What? Mark my words. This shall be one of the most exhilarating and brilliant shows ever to grace the stage of Fontaine!
Woohoo!
Oh, no! Why does it feel like Farina just took over the whole thing? Like, also, even though she's still acting super dramatic,
All right, then. Who will be my opponent in this trial?
The court asks the prosecutor to please take the stand.
Is that so? Also, please allow me to ask, just how much work did you do?
well, we did do a lot of prep after the meeting that day.
I can go over the tasks assigned to the Spina di Rosula, since they were rather straightforward and easy.
Navia, the president of the—
Most of the people who participated in the disturbance this morning were my subordinates. They changed into plain clothes and came to the Opera House as regular audience members, waiting for the perfect opportunity. The people's resentment against their archon has been building as more and moreover, according to our understanding and analysis of you, when something like that occurred, you would likely flee the scene and head to So, we arranged for a second group to lie in wait there.
So, you mean the ones who scout—
And their goal was to force you to step into the giant magic box so you may personally participate in the greatest magic performance in all of Fontanian—
That's right. That house was a magic box, rather than someone's residence.
As the super ultimate version of the setup that I used when I first performed at the opera, the volume of the box was increased by a whole order of magnitude, and the distance it traversed was the entire gap between Poisson and Aranias. Its cargo, of course, was an archon instead of a human. My thanks, Farina. Without your help, we could never have pulled off such an extraordinary performance.
You're welcome?
Of course, this performance was only made possible with Father's support. The House of the Hearth spent a massive amount of labor in Mora to pull this off. We had to select a location, construct the giant magic box, dig a tunnel, and open up a path.
So, in other words, the earthquake that we felt within the giant magic box was just a normal tremor from the transportation—
That's right. It wasn't a sign of another disaster to come.
Then, I can guess Nervilette and Cloran's parts. You gathered a crowd, prepared a stage, all so that as soon as I appear...
Yes, that is correct.
Well, Clorand, I must commend you for your courage. Only the most outstanding champion duelist in all of Fontaine would accept a duel with an archon without flinching.
Thank you.
As for you, traveler, I suppose your role was to keep me distracted with conversation once you found me in Poisson. You'd make sure that I didn't notice anything amiss before revealing yourself as my prosecutor once we'd arrived onto the... Oh? Is that so? Then... It's fine. It matters not. What's done is done. The stage is already set, so there's no reason to disappoint the audience. Let's see this trial through to the very end.
Madam Prosecutor, please allow me to pass this along. This is a document that Miss Charlotte applied for and received permission to share with you during the trial. According to her, it should speed up the proceedings.
Huh? Charlotte wanted to give us something? Oh, so she's here too! Hey, Charlotte! Oh, let Paimon see. Isn't this the exclusive interview that she did with us before? So she's already finished it, huh? Wait, then that means this document is a perfect timeline of everything that's happened ever since we stepped foot in Fontaine! So in other words, we can refer to this anthology of evidence every time we want to use something from our journey as evidence for an argument! Quickly confirm the information in it. Just think of it as a refresher, alright?
You defeated the Hydro Archon in the very first duels you took part in at the Opera House. That's one for the history books, alright? think that you'd wind up getting to the bottom of the case I'd been following all this time. I guess this is the first time Monsieur Nervillet had a difference of opinion with the Oratrice. Even a Fatui Harbinger. She's an extraordinary person. The fortress of Meripede was almost destroyed in a single day. According to Monsieur Nervillet, both Child and that whale should have been in the primordial sea at that time. I nearly lost my awesome friend Navia. To be honest, that still gives me shivers. The words of someone as extraordinary as a witch can probably only be truly understood when something surreal happens to you.
The prosecution and the defense are both in position. The trial shall now begin.
Oh, come on! Just fast forward to the... Of course. It is only natural for you...
That's true. But my charge here is unrelated to your conduct as an archon. Instead, I would like to
Wait, what was that? Lady Farina's a fraud?
Hey.
Charge accepted. Lady Farina, do you... Lady Farina.
I plead not guilty. There is no way that I, Focalor, otherwise known as Farina de Fontaine, a member of the Seven and the Regina of all waters, kindreds, peoples, and laws of Fontaine, could be anything other than your true archon.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've never...
I have cause to believe that common sense will prevail in this case. Many of the members of the audience have known me as the Hydro Archon ever... See? Even the Oratrice has decided to if you wish to drop the case.
An argument with near impossible odds, huh? You have to know...
Well, and if I was not the
First of all, you may be...
Who gave you that idea? Was it the knave? You'd sink so low.
A curse? I once thought it possible that the aura of an archon might naturally resemble a type of curse. But in light of this claim, perhaps what I sensed was not your divinity, but a curse after all.
Never had sensed it too, huh?
Lady Farina.
Well, it is true that it's extreme...
Well, don't start celebrating too early. Besides, everyone knows that the main difference between... For centuries, manifestations of my authority have... One need only to turn their eyes towards the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinal.
You tried to reference the orator.
Didn't I make myself clear at the time? The decisions of—
Lady Farina, I believe a reminder of your current circumstances is in order. While the court is in session, the principles of justice and the law must— You will prove yourself unable to defend against the prosecution's charge.
I never thought you'd use that kind of rhetoric.
That was no trick of rhetoric, Lady Farina. I've merely reiterated the rules of the court. Rules that all should respect and follow.
So, you neither knew why Child was declared guilty, nor did you understand the structure and operations of the Oratrice. Instead of having been created by you, the manifestations of authority you mentioned have been made by the real Hydro Archon, haven't—
The real Hydro Archon? Well, now you're really losing me. It is true that I did not know why the Oratrice gave out, but the Oratrice handed out that verdict unilaterally. And you can't argue that just because a divine
She's still throwing out all kinds of excuses. Seems like she's confident that we won't be able to produce proof that she has no power over the Oratrice.
My power as an Archon.
If that poses a concern, I'm prepared to extend my protection to the audience.
You don't need to go that far.
Aren't you the Hydro Archon? Or is it—
Indemnitium! Yes! It's all because of Indemnitium! All Archons derive their power from the faith. Thus did I give up all of my divine power to provide—
Isn't that?
Yeah, no matter how generous an Archon can be.
It seems like nobody's buying Farina's excuse.
Hey, come now, everyone! I'm still the same Farina you knew, right? Please, you've got to believe me.
If what the prosecutor said is true, she really has committed a grave offense.
Did she deceive all of us? And all of our parents and grandparents too? And all of our ancestors? Ever since they were—
Enough! That's enough. Tell me then, if I'm not the real Hydro Archon, if you have no evidence of another Hydro Archon's existence—
Wow, she came up with yet another argument. That doesn't sound right. It has been established.
Since you insist on claiming to be a god and not a human, then there's a method that you can use—
Miss Navia,
super sorry, now. I've brought some seawater from Poisson, including those of some of my close— So, Miss Farina, would you— If we are to believe that you are indeed the real Hydro Archon, if you don't dare to touch it, then we would have basically proved the Oh, and I must remind you, I do hope you'll act prudently and choose the—
Navia from the Spina di Resu—
If Lady Farina is indeed just—
Lady Farina, this test has been unilaterally proposed by the prosecution. As it falls outside the realm of standard court proceedings, you possess the right.
Well, of course he had to tell her that. But refusing to participate is—
She's just staring at the water without saying a single word.
What's going on? Is she really planning to— that's not what we—
Due to the inherent risk of the test, Lady Farina, you—
Hey!
My hand is still here. Will you believe me now? I really...
Miss Siegewin? If you are present, Miss Siegewin, please come forward and attend to the defendant.
Siegewin?
Don't be nervous. It'll just take a few seconds. Let me see. That should be enough.
Please announce the results of your evaluation to the court, Miss Siegewin.
As everyone doubtlessly saw, Miss Farina was displaying symptoms of hyperventilation and flushed skin. These indicate that she was experiencing the adverse effects of exposure to primordial seawater. The extent to which she was affected is the same as other humans when exposed to...
Thank you, Miss Siegewin. Lady Farina, you may return to the defendant's stand.
Oh, wait. What did she just say? I didn't get dissolved. Shouldn't that be enough to prove my innocence?
Well, considering your tendency to run from your problems, we did originally prepare a direct sample of the seawater around Poisson. However, after extensive discussion, we exchanged it for a sample that is... We don't want anyone else to lose their life to the sea.
Yeah, so out of regard for Farina's life, it's a great thing that the direct...
Listen to me, everyone. Please don't give me such think about it. How can also, if I was really just... Please, anyone, just listen to me. I swear, I really am your archon.
I don't think anything she says at this point will sway anyone.
With all the things that have been said, Paimon doesn't think there's any...
I believe the time for arguments and presentation of evidence has come to an end. If there are no objections, we will move on to the final judgment.
I don't think anything she says at this point will sway anyone who's too stacked against her now.
In my capacity as Chief Justice, I shall now render judgment on Farina's misrepresentation of herself as the Archon of Fontaine. As a human who knowingly deceived her fellow citizens, Farina is... guilty. We shall now turn to the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinale to render the final verdict on the charges. According to the judgment of the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinale, Farina is...
Well, what's wrong? What's the Oratrice's verdict?
No, the Oratrice also displays a guilty verdict.
Isn't that correct then?
However, the exact wording of the verdict is thus: the Hydro Archon, guilty, to be punished via the death sentence.
The death sentence?
That's actually one of the available sentences? I've always thought that it was just a myth.
The one and only time the death sentence has been handed out at the court, and it's been given to the very person we've worshipped as the god of justice? What an unexpected twist.
Farina's been sentenced to death by the Oratrice? We just wanted to use the
This outcome is indeed quite strange. According to Fontaine's current definitions of justice, as well as its recommendations for criminal sentences, is this sentence really appropriate for the crimes that have been committed?
Yeah! Even Vacher wasn't sentenced to death by the Oratrice. You the real evil mastermind behind the serial
Indeed. Not only is Farina's sentence overly excessive, the very point of our trial today was also to prove that Farina has never been the Hydro Archon in the first place. But now, the Oratrice seems to have deliberately invoked the title of the Hydro Archon. What does this mean?
Excuse me, if I may interrupt. Is the trial still going?
Fremine! You finally made it. I assume this means you've completed your mission?
Mm-hmm. Any mission Father assigns to me.
Is that the first prophecy slate? Huh. So the knave privately arranged for
I looked everywhere and finally found it at the bottom of the sea. It took me a long time to get around some dangerous stretches of water. But has the trial already concluded? Then...
Thank you for your hard work, Mr. Fremine. Please allow me to review the record left on the slate. Traveler, I believe that you have already seen the other existing slates. We'd like you to come here and confirm their
Huh? So what do you see?
I believe I've now made sense of the Hydro...
Huh? Isn't the Hydro Archon just guilty of deceiving her people? Oh, wait, no, that's Farina, and... so when you say Hydro Archon, do you mean the real Hydro Archon we've been kinda talking about?
In truth, everything that you've encountered in Fontaine up until this point can be traced back to the contents of these stone slates. However, I'm uncertain as to...
Okay, let's try to recall the contents of the other 3 stone slates. The first stone slate describes what you just said. It seems to show the previous... Does that mean that Fontanians are transformed Oceanids? Oh, the second stone slate shows Celestia floating in the sky and the Hydro Archon and her people worshipping it together. But this must be the point when the Hydro Archon and the Fontanians were branded with their original sin. The third slate shows the Hydro Archon sinking into the sea, so... That reminds Paimon, well, the fourth slate is the prophecy that we didn't believe that such a crazy disaster... That doesn't sound quite right. That doesn't sound quite right. Let's think about this some more. That doesn't sound quite right. That doesn't sound... That doesn't sound...
We know from the case of the serial disappearances of young women that Fontanians can be dissolved in primordial seawater, and the first stone... This might be...
That doesn't sound quite right. Let's think about this. That doesn't... That doesn't sound quite... That doesn't sound...
Perhaps what is about the true sin of, and the original sin cast down on... It's not as... When not the stone slates show the people... The prophecy from the fortress of Meropide was nearly flooded with. If we hadn't dealt with it in time.
They'll dissolve into the primordial sea but won't cease to exist. Their essence will flow in the seawater. The Hydro Archon was sentenced to death in court, shocking everyone present. Navia fell into the water inside those ruins. The eruption of the primordial sea at the fortress of Meropide was... The stone slate's content can all be verified by research. Huh? Oh, Paimon gets it now! So that's how you can make... But then it feels like...
Let's hear them.
Incredible.
All Fontanians were originally created by the late The evidence for that can be found in how only Fontanians could dissolve in primordial seawater. Oh, and according to Navia, when she was about to get dissolved, she also saw everyone gathered around for a...
Indeed.
Yeah, and it follows from the content of the first slate. That could also explain why the Oratrice judged the Hydro Archon to be guilty.
The Hydro Archon's true...
And yet, after many hundreds of years, the Hydro Archon's creations have turned around to try to judge the Archon.
Yeah, isn't the image here... So wouldn't it be trying to show the image of the Hydro... In the end, did Paimon get all that right?
You've made some keen deductions. I must say, given how... However, while you were able to decode all the information on the slates, they've also been etched with an additional layer of hidden information used. When we were at the ruins, I tried to decipher the hidden information recorded in the slates. But since we only had 3 slates, now that the slate collection is complete, I shall make another attempt to decipher the narrative recorded with...
Well? Did you get it?
I believe I should share this truth not only with you, but with all the people. Your hypotheses regarding the origin of Fontanians and the sin of... In the Fontaine of old, the previous Hydro Archon sensed the yearning of her Oceanid familiars for life on land. The Oceanids were enamored with the beauty and romanticism of human beings, and wishing to have those experiences for themselves, expressed to the Hydro Archon their desire to become of a similar kind. However, even though water as an element is intricately linked with the power of life, the Hydro Archon, as one of the 7, did not possess the authority to create a new form of human life. Not one to give in, she eventually found a way to create permanent humanoid bodies for her familiars by appropriating the power of this planet's primordial sea. She poured primordial seawater into the Oceanid's blood. But if Fontanians were to ever come into direct contact with water from the primordial sea, the power within their bodies would escape these artificial restraints and return to the sea. As a result, their forms would collapse, and they would be reverted to their original forms as Oceanids. Of course, the Hydro Archon never received permission from the heavenly principles to create a new human race. And thus, the Hydro Archon and all of her creations came to shoulder the original sin of appropriating the power of the primordial sea. That is the true history of how the people of Fontaine first came into being.
So we were all Oceanids before we...
That's way too much information for me. I think I'm just going to pretend that I never heard a single thing. Wait, but if that's the truth, we can't let the Hydro Archon be sentenced to death. After all, her only sin was creating us.
This really might be too much information for your regular Fontanian, but it does...
Alas, your hypothesis regarding the 3rd and 4th stone slates was inaccurate. The slates' respective positions are, in fact, correct. A key point of the visual on the 3rd slate is how all the individuals depicted in the water are humans rather than Oceanids. They have not been dissolved, which implies that the water depicted in this slate is not water from the primordial sea. The nation of Fontaine is the nation of Hydro, as well as the nation of Trials and Justice. Instead of being the literal element, the water in the scene symbolizes judgment and justice. You may also recall Navia's experience. When she fell into the sea, her consciousness was surrounded by that of many others who intended to hold. Therefore, the meaning of the third slate is that the people of Fontaine shall try the Hydro-Archon at the court of justice. Yes, it refers to our present situation.
I think I'm following now. So, what you're saying is, even though we decided to put on this trial to avoid fulfilling the prophecy, in truth, everything we've done has happened exactly as the prophecy foretold. So now...
What should we do?
Huh. No matter what, the prophecy will be fulfilled.
If that's the case, does that mean the scene in the fourth slate will also be fulfilled soon?
Traveler, I would like to point out another small fallacy in your deductions. About the fourth slate, you probably thought that the eruption of primordial seawater beneath the fortress of Meripede served as the surest sign that the prophecy was about to come to pass, yes? However, I believe that rather than being a sure sign, that eruption could in fact only be a small warning of something far worse to come. As for the root cause of the catastrophe, I believe you've already encountered it once before. This eruption was just a small warning of the things to come. We must find the root cause of the disaster.
That doesn't sound quite right. That doesn't sound quite right. Let's think.
It was both dream and reality.
If we're talking about a true culprit, that could only be that thing inside the primordial sea, right?
The truth, the original sin, the trial, and the root cause of the disaster.
That was way too close! How did that thing just burst into the opera house? Wait, was that the huge whale you saw in your dream?
So we've met it at last. I understand very well why it has chosen to make an appearance here. That whale does not belong to Teyvat. It is a monster. It has been greedily consuming the energy from the planet's primordial sea. And once it has finished consuming all of the energy contained within the sea, its next step will be...
You said that when the Hydro Archon first created Fontanians out of...
Precisely. That whale finds the blood of Fontanians nigh impossible to resist. Therefore, when it left the primordial sea, it decided to make its next stop a packed opera house full of food. Food in the form of Fontanians.
We just barely managed.
That is correct. From the way he looked, he must have been fighting the creature for quite a long time.
That battle maniac. We've always known that he had a special connection with that whale, but we definitely didn't expect it to help us out like this. Anyway, now that we know that this...
It is too late. It had already absorbed too much of the primordial sea's energy before we could notice it. Even if the entirety of Teyvat were to be destroyed.
That's not something I will We've already done everything we can, and we even found the true culprit. We've come so far. You can't just tell me that the last hurdle is some impossible foe.
Indeed, that's not how a grand performance should end.
I'll fight it to the end, no matter what.
So the prophecy will be fulfilled no matter what, huh?
The prophecy. Yes. What has been prophesied will be fulfilled. Just as prophecies are usually only... Ultimately, fate shall serve at...
What's happening with the oratories?
I believe it is preparing to carry out the death sentence.
Marina!
No, I still need answers!
You...
Sorry. That shocked expression on your face is just too amusing. I couldn't help myself.
You are not Farina. Who are you?
The sweet sound of bewilderment. Marvelous. A sure sign that my attempt to deceive everyone was a resounding success. But to answer your question, I am Focalor. You know, the god.
Focalor? Why did you deceive us?
Oh, that wasn't my goal, of course. Goodness, no. But I had to fool everyone else too, if I was to stand any chance of deceiving the heavenly principles.
Deceiving the heavenly principles?
It's all because of that pernicious prophecy. Dreadful, wasn't it? Everyone doomed to dissolve. Fontaine condemned to be flooded. One was not amused. In fact, one was positively bemused when that problem was thrust upon me by my dearest predecessor. That's the former Hydro-Arch. She knew full well that the prophecy would surely come to pass. And as one of the seven, she also knew full well that one defies the heavenly principles at one's peril. So yes, as you have no doubt surmised, it was a rather impossible situation that I found myself in.